will be lighter in weight. And as I have told you that if you are a right-handed person, then usually what is done, the weights are placed on the left pan, and the substance you want to weigh, that is weighed in a weighing jar or a weighing bottle, and in that bottle you place the substance, and that is usually kept on this right pan. And this is done intentionally because you will be adding and removing the substance again and again in order to weigh or in order to balance these two pans. So there will be addition and subtractions more frequently on this pan, and if you are a right-handed person, it will be easier for you to work. So the weights will be placed on the left pan and the weighing substance will be placed on the right pan. If you are a left-handed person, you can reverse the position. That is not at all of concern. It is about the ease with which you work. The gates of this chemical balance can be opened by rotating the knobs on either of the sides. So is the working now clear how this balance works? About the rider, I have told you in detail on the last turn what is the role of the rider. In fact, with the help of the rider only, you can make the smallest measurement. The least count of this balance can be calculated with the help of the rider only. Now, I even told you about the weights that you have in the weight box, and one specific pattern about the weight box. They are present in the ratio 5:2:2:1. Now, quickly write down a number. Say you have to weigh 6.7 6.7432 grams. Have you written down the number? 6.7432 grams. Now tell me the denominations, the weights that you will take from the weight box to measure this much amount of the substance. Tell me the weight. And if the rider will be used for weighing this, tell me the position of the rider on the rider scale. I can show you the weights. If you have forgotten, I can show you the weights that are present in the weight box. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Weights of 100 gram, 5 gram, 2 gram, 2 gram, 1 gram, and so on. These are the weights which are present in the weight box. So I want you to give me the denominations, the weights that you will have to use from the weight box in order to measure 6.7432 grams. You can tell me the answer verbally if you have worked it out, or you can even paste the answer in the chat box. And even I told you one more thing about these weighing results on the last term, that the last digit will always be even in the weighings that you will make. The last digit will always be even because the least count of the balance is 0.2 milligram. You people just work it out. I am connecting again in few minutes. Just wait. I am connecting again in few minutes. Just wait for 5 minutes. I have some work. I'm connecting again in 5 minutes. You people continue in the meeting. Yes, I have joined again. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, even I can see 3 students have posted the answers. It was Fawaz first. 5 gram, 1 gram, 500 milligram. Now stop posting, just wait. Let me take the answer and then I will tell you. Fawad, you have not mentioned the rider place. The rider will be used. The rider will be used. You have actually only reported 6.7. You have reported 6.73. No, that is not right. I can see the rider's units only in Ayush answer. Ayush is 5 gram plus 1 gram, 500 milligram, 200 milligram, 20 mg, 20 mg, and rider at 16 units. Ayush's answer is correct, yes. What Ayush has answered, that is absolutely correct. In the last two positions, you have 32. So the rider will be at the 16th position. Just the last two digits should be divided by 2 to get the answer for the rider's position. So the rider's position should be 16 units. The ones who have not done it, please correct it. This should be the values. For 6 gram, you will be using 5 gram plus 1 gram. Everybody, I think, has mixed up that. So after that, you have again 7. 7 means 500 milligrams plus 200 milligrams. And then you have 4. 7 fours. 4, that will means 20 milligram, 20 milligram. That you will make it that way. And the last two digits, 32, will be contributed by the writer. And you will place it at the 16th unit. You will place it at the 16th unit. Akash, you have missed. Okay. No, Akash is right. Even Akash is right. He has submitted the correct answer. Okay, with this now, I'm starting with the first experiment that you have to learn. Is the objective of the first experiment visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
And I hope everybody is sitting with the lab manuals with them. This instruction I gave you on the first turn, that on every practical turn you have to sit with your lab manuals, whether in hard copy or in soft copy. So the object for the first experiment is that you have to determine the percentage of available chlorine in the supplied sample of bleaching powder. So a sample of bleaching powder will be supplied to you and you have to find out the percentage of available chlorine in it. So for this, the basic things that you should be knowing is, first of all, you should be knowing what is chemically bleaching powder, number one. Then after that, you should be knowing what does the term available chlorine means. And then finally, you should be knowing the expression for the percentage calculation of available chlorine. But that you will be able to calculate only when you know the principle on which this experiment is based. So let us take up all the questions one by one. Is the next slide visible? With the composition of bleaching powder in the chemical reaction?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So first of all, the general formula for bleaching powder is given by CaOCl2. This is the general formula. But what does this mean? CaOCl2. This can be written as calcium hypochlorite and calcium chloride, a combination of these two salts, calcium hypochlorite and calcium chloride. If you will write it like this, then there will be 2 calcium ions, 2 chloride ions and 2 hypochlorite ions. So I have skipped the 2 part and this is going to be calcium. The composition is going to be of calcium ions, hypochlorite ions. Hypochlorite ions are OCl minus on the whole thing, and Cl minus, the chloride ions. Now it is important for you to understand the composition of bleaching powder, because from this only you will be able to define what is available chlorine. Now tell me, what is the oxidation number of this chlorine? The chlorine atom that you see in the hypochlorite ion.
+1.
+1.
It is +1. So in bleaching powder, there are 2 types of Cl ions. One is the Cl minus ion and the other is the Cl plus ion, which is part of the hypochlorite ion. Now when you say the term available chlorine, it is only the hypochlorite ion that leads to available chlorine and not the chloride ions. Always remember this. It is only the hypochlorite ions which lead to the formation of available chlorine. And how do we define available chlorine? All this will form the basis of your theory. Nothing has been mentioned in the manual about this. So you will be writing about this in the theory that you will write in your practical manual. So by definition, available chlorine is the chlorine that is liberated when bleaching powder or the hypochlorite ions, they come in contact with acid. So when hypochlorite ions, they come in contact with an acid, what has happened? Nascent chlorine is liberated and water molecule is formed. Is this reaction clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. So remember, this is in fact will form the definition of available chlorine, and in this there is no role of chloride ions. It is the hypochlorite ions only which participate. Then these nascent chlorine atoms, the two chlorine atoms can combine to form chlorine molecule. You're familiar with this? I have not shown that reaction on the slide. Yes, everybody is familiar.
Yes, ma'am.
Two nascent chlorine atoms, they will combine together to form chlorine molecule. Now, the principle of this method is, in fact, it is a volumetric titration. We are discussing the volumetric category first. I told you the experiments that you have to learn, they fall into two categories. One is the volumetric category and the other is the non-volumetric category. So right now we are focusing on the volumetric experiments. So what will be done? When you will carry out the titration, to the contents of the conical flask, you will be adding potassium iodide solution. Now, potassium iodide solution will furnish iodide ions. So, these iodide ions will come in contact with the chlorine, available chlorine that will be liberated by the hypochlorite ions, and this reaction will take place. Are you familiar with the second reaction as well? Iodine will be liberated and chlorine molecule will be converted into two chloride ions. Is the second reaction clear to everyone? It is an ionic reaction. And now simply combine the first two reactions. When you will combine the first two reactions, you will get the third reaction.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, we are doing this reactions in conical flask, right? So Cl2 जैसे ही बनेगी मैम वो तो उड़ जाएगा, तो फिर ये रिएक्शन हो कैसे रहेगा?
But you will add the acid and Ki simultaneously in the conical flask. Simultaneously they will be added. So as soon as chlorine it will be formed, it will react with the iodide ions. Okay? Yes. So when you will combine the two reactions, you will get this reaction which you can see in the manual. Only the third reaction has been given in the manual. Only the third reaction. So this reaction has been derived from these two reactions which are taking place. And then if you have to find out volumetrically the iodine liberated, which indirectly will give you the chlorine liberated, we are interested in finding out the amount of this chlorine. So indirectly what we are doing, we are converting this chlorine into the iodine, and the amount of iodine liberated can be found out on the basis of its titration against hypo solution. Hypo. How much iodine has been liberated, this you can find out by titrating the liberated iodine against hypo solution. And what is hypo chemically? Chemically it is Na2S2O3, hypo. When hypo will come in contact with the liberated iodine, and hypo solution will be filled in the burette. So when it will come in contact with iodine, what will happen? This reaction will take place. Sodium iodide will be formed and sodium tetrathionate. I think you're also familiar with this reaction. This is taught at the interclasses level, classes 11th and 12th. And do you remember the reaction between starch and iodine? The reactions, this experiment, when you learn the experiments based on photosynthesis, there you use starch as the iodine as the indicator. You remember? In the photosynthesis experiments,
Yes,
when you
yes,
have to prove that starch is formed in the process, you use iodine, and when starch and iodine they come in contact, they form a blue-brown complex. Yes. So the same reaction we will be using over here. Starch will be added as an indicator to the liberated iodine, and you will see a deep blue complex. And as soon as all the iodine is consumed by reaction with hypo, what will happen? This deep blue complex will change into colorless solution, and that is going to be your endpoint. Changing from blue color to colorless solution, that is going to be your endpoint. So these reactions form the principle of the method that has to be applied. Now coming to the procedure, how will the
Hello,
experiment be performed? Yes.
ma'am. Why we are taking glacial acetic acid? There is water in the reaction then.
Why have we taken? That will act as the acid for the liberation of chlorine in the first step.
No, ma'am. There was written glacial
have to
acetic acid. So,
There is water where? You will be preparing a suspension of bleaching powder. You want to ask why glacial, like why are we not using a dilute solution of it? That is the question.
no, ma'am. We can use directly acetic acid. Why we are using glacial acetic acid? There is water in the reaction. Then why we are using glacial acetic acid?
Maybe to provide that much strength of the acid, because already there is so much of water. So if a dilute solution will be added, that will not be enough for the generation of nascent chlorine. And that is easier to handle as compared to other mineral acids. Glacial acetic acid is easier to handle. We talk about HCl, H2SO4 or HNO3. So how is the experiment performed? First of all, you weigh out accurately 1.5 gram of bleaching powder. That will be done with the help of an analytical balance. And here for weighing, you will be using a porcelain dish. So first of all, you will take the weight of empty porcelain dish. Then you will add 1.5 gram to the weight side of the left pan. Then you will start adding bleaching powder to the porcelain dish, and after you have weighed, means you get the pointer in the middle. That means equal weights are present on the same side, on the different sides of the pan. At that stage, you will remove the porcelain dish in the closed position of the balance, and then you have to make a thick paste of that bleaching powder. So you will be adding small amount of water to it, very small, and you will rub the contents with the help of a test tube. With the help of the end of the test tube, you will rub the contents, means bleaching powder and 2 drops of water. And the consistency of the paste should be toothpaste-like. Has to be this much thick. So you will make a paste of bleaching powder, and then you will transfer the contents by adding, say, a little more water to a volumetric flask of 250 ml. And once you have transferred all the you will make it up to the mark of 250 ml. You will be adding distilled water. or the deionized water, in fact. Find out the difference between the two. What is the difference between distilled water and deionized water? And you will make it up to 250 ml mark. Once it has been prepared, the solution, you will transfer 200 ml of this suspension into a beaker. And you will have to keep on shaking the contents again and again because it is a suspension, and you will see that bleaching powder has a tendency to settle down. So every time you will be yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the slide? You cannot see anything. I need to upload it again.
Now it is visible, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Is it visible or not?
Visible, ma'am.
Visible. See,
Yes, ma'am.
actually it is the data pack which is creating a problem. I am using Windows 10, and though I have delayed, in fact, the updating of the window, but still it is continuing to update, and all my pack has been finished. The pack that I'm using to take this class. Okay, let us quickly finish. Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
On the slide. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Very quickly we'll do it. Otherwise, I will stop today and I will upload the contents. Maybe we can continue on the next one, but today I won't be able to continue much. So that bleaching powder suspension, 25 ml of it will be taken in a conical flask. To this conical flask, you will be adding glacial acetic acid, 2 ml, and 1 ml potassium iodide solution simultaneously. And as soon as you will do that, you will get a deep brown color. a deep brown color because iodine will be liberated and that will come in contact with iodine will be liberated and that will give the brown color to the solution. Now in the burette you will fill the standard hypo solution, means the strength will be known to you, and after that you will start adding hypo into the contents of the conical flask. You will go on doing that till you see a faint yellow color, means you are exhausting the iodine here in the conical flask. Now we are not adding starch in the beginning, we are adding starch when there will be a faint yellow color left in the conical flask, because when this color will be faint yellow, then you will be able to see the color changes properly. Initially in the deep brown state, when more of iodine is there, you won't be able to see the results properly. So you will add hypo till you get a faint yellow color. At that point, you will add 2 drops of starch solution, which is the indicator in this experiment. At this point, you will get a deep blue color. You will keep on adding hypo till the blue color just disappears. So the end point is changing of color from blue to colorless. And you will repeat the process till you get 2 concordant readings. Now these are the values I want you to copy. Quickly copy the values in your lab manual or somewhere. Weight of empty porcelain dish plus bleaching powder, and weight of bleaching powder taken. That can be taken from subtraction, W2 minus W1. These 2 values have been given in the manual, I think already. Have you noted down the values?
Yes, ma'am.
Or take a snapshot. Then come to the next. This table has not been given in the manual. I have reframed it. Quickly take a snapshot of this as well. And by the term concordant, we mean the same reading consecutively. The same, exactly same reading consecutively. When you get that, that is known as concordant reading. So when you will get 35.3 consecutively, that you can take as the concordant value. So since you are not performing the experiment, I am providing you the results directly. So the concordant value is going to be 35.3 ml. Yes, have you noted it down? Take a snapshot quickly. And after this, finally, we will come to the calculation. The calculation has been given in the lab manual, and you have to start from the law of chemical equivalence, and you will be able to derive this final result. Whatever result you get on substituting the values, this is your titer value from the titration, and this is the mass of bleaching powder that you have taken in the beginning. You will substitute the values and finally you will report the result as this. Write the result in past tense because that indicates that you had performed the experiment earlier. So it will be was. And the result is really important. In the end, you have to report the result along with the theory about which I have told you. So with this now, I have given you the instructions for today's practical. If you have any questions, I will take them up on the next turn. So with this now, I allow you to leave the class. I've downloaded the attendance list.